O'clock, Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Call this meeting to order to continue with review of vehicle proposals from the Sheriff's Office. And I see you've got yours all sorted out here. I got mine in a package. Yeah. This is what,
I got one right there.
I didn't realize you guys already had that.
Do you need one, Sydney?
No.
There we go.
Okay. So somebody thoughtfully emailed this over to us so we could look at it. I tried to read through it, and am I right in that we've got bids from two different outfits here?
Two different vehicles, yeah. So it's going to be two Ford Mavericks and then one patrol vehicle, like we discussed at the last meeting.
But two different car dealerships?
Three. So we have the Auto Ranch, the Young Automotive Group, GM Young Automotive Group, and the Ford dealership, and then Dave Smith.
And we have Dave Smith, okay.
So technically four.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Captain, and take off with what you got here.
Well, and so if there's no wiggle room whatsoever, and it's just absolute lowest bid takes, most of these are actually within the same principal price point. There's things that would obviously be easier for us, even though it's like $200 more, would be to take the Ford dealership from Coeur d'Alene. If it's an absolute just lowest dollar wins, then it is going to be, let me get back to 2662. Technically the one down, they did the bid slightly incorrectly though, so it says your government price including delivery to Premier in Salt Lake City is $27,662. I'm assuming they won't charge us more to get it delivered here. I said that the patrol vehicle needs to be taken straight there. That's where we get the next section of outfitting for patrol vehicles. But I'm assuming that price would stay the same if I just hadn't switched it to being coming here instead of Premier. So they made a slight error there. Whereas in the Ford one, which is right there in Coeur d'Alene, technically it is $34 more. If there is any wiggle room, then I would prefer that one. It's just easier to work with. They're right here. Any sort of issues for $30 to me is good. But if it is some sort of rule or law, which I'm unaware of, that we just have to take lowest bid, we would need to go with the one way south.
But then we end up having to send someone down there to pick it up?
No, it does include delivery. I believe, like I said, they put it on here incorrectly. They said to Premier in Salt Lake City. That is a drive already. So I think they would be willing to do it here for the same price. Now, if they're not, then we'd be back in using the Ford dealership right there in CDA. I think
So it's only $30 difference between the Coeur d'Alene and the other one. And the Coeur d'Alene is closer, and then same way with your getting it fixed and things like that.
Correct.
Right there in Coeur d'Alene.
And even getting it faster. I mean, to me, there's a lot more benefit to pay $30 to use the one right here than dealing with down south. But I don't know what the legal. Do we just have to take absolute lowest?
Typically, but there is some wiggle room, and from what you're saying that the bid was incorrect, the lowest bid, and so the next bid is done correctly.
Okay.
I think that's a justification, as you know that is going to be the price from the Ford dealership, where there has potential if the bid is incorrect from the down south one. Just my opinion, but and you guys have that discretion for that amount, because when you're looking at all of them, were they done correctly is a criteria you can evaluate them on. And for $34, I think that's a pretty easily justified dollar amount.
Okay.
Can we count things like future maintenance and that we might
absolutely.
rather deal
cost
here
of
locally?
Ownership is always a factor when you're looking at evaluating the bids. And so having somebody that is going to be
local,
accessible and easy to do, easy to get the things done, it's going to cost you less to get the work done and the maintenances, then that is absolutely a factor.
And which vehicle is that?
That'd be the Ford Maverick.
So on the Ford Mavericks, are they going to be patrol vehicles, or how is that going to work?
Nope. What we had discussed was, because obviously we have to pay off the leases, so the average cost yearly for vehicles is around $210,000. This makes it to where we're significantly under that this year, to include also paying off that the leases. So the Ford Mavericks are just going to be for admin vehicles and detectives, which we
So
won't be
now-
able to outfit everybody just with two. But
So what, we'll have to have radios and everything in there?
Just a radio and some light. We'll just get some light bars on the inside that won't be too expensive.
yeah,
We may have stuff in the inventory downstairs to outfit some of it, or be able to rob from some of the decommissioned vehicles.
Now, will they have the Shoshone County, or will they be more of an undercover type vehicle? Is that what you're kind of looking at,
yeah, they'd be unmarked.
unmarked?
Undercover would insinuate that they're being used like out for different, which they may be at some point if we need to. But the primary purpose is just unmarked.
Unmarked.
Yeah, for these two.
Now, what about the Dodge
That is a marked patrol unit.
marked patrol unit?
That's why the significant more expense, and then I haven't gotten to the premier quotes and Raycom, which we did expect.
Okay, and that all falls in within the expense of the ARPA funds that we're looking at, or LATCF funds,
Is that where you wanted them to come?
or whatever ones you were requesting.
Yeah, it would all come out of LATCF. If
LATCF.
that's the direction we would.
Yeah, looking through your vehicle list, you've got probably close to 29, 30 cars. And 11 of them have over 100,000 miles on them. So that, that is concerning. And the other thing is, the two Ford Mavericks, you can almost buy another, instead of two, you can almost buy another patrol car.
Almost.
Almost.
Then we'd only have 2 patrol cars then. So we need, next year we have to have 3 patrol cars added to the fleet. This was purely, we were asked to do cost saving as best we could, especially with paying off these leases. If we were to do that, we have some vehicles need to be retired pretty soon. We can definitely go down that road as well if we're wanting to switch to that. For this, we get 3 vehicles and the leases paid off for less than we'd get 3 patrol cars without the leases paid off.
Okay.
Kind of the goal is I'm in a car with like 85,000 miles, patrol vehicle, and then if I just drive a Maverick, and then if I go patrolling, I just grab one of the ones that aren't being used every day and go patrol in
So
it.
free up your car.
Yep, it free up my car.
And then mine or the detective's car as well.
Okay.
So, and then ideally
Yeah, the detective has a patrol vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously, out of those 30 rigs, a large number of them need decommissioned and sold off.
Yeah, I saw that. I've been looking through that, and you're well over 100. And some have 200,000. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Okay, so for the Ford, how many of those are we doing? 2?
2.
I'm okay with the idea of going with Ford just because I think it'd be cheaper for service to keep it local. What do you think?
I would agree with the same thing. If we were going to go with the Mavericks, that would be the cheaper way to go.
Okay. Where does that leave us on the other one then?
On the other one, let me just make sure I have my numbers correct. Oh, there it is. I just need the date of it. So Auto Ranch on this one, kind of what she was saying, did not nearly complete the bid the way it was supposed to be, which makes me incredibly nervous about it. They literally give, if you look at these others, they're all very extensive, show exactly what we want, what's in them, everything. All that Auto Ranch sent me back was a piece of paper, one piece, that says the price. Doesn't even say what the order contains, which is kind of concerning to me because of the fact that if you see all these documents that the other companies did, like it lists out exactly what we need because it's far more extensive than a regular Durango, because it's Pursuit Durango. So all this says is Pursuit Durango, transport to Wallace, and our price is $42,369. Dave Smith right here puts it at $42,492. So
not much of a
$130 difference or whatever it is. And also we're dealing with the fact, like, I can't say this isn't going to have a ton of issues because they didn't even write what was supposed to be in it.
And they're farther away from Dave.
Way farther.
So we can, that we can use that. It's
Honestly, I
quite a
don't
bit
feel if
further.
that's all they sent was they didn't complete the bid as requested, so that's not a responsive bid. So you can reject that on a not qualified as a responsive bid because all they gave you was price. And if there
But
was
then we wouldn't
specs
have
that
three
had to
bids,
be
right?
done, you can reject that. So you went out and you did it, and you have bids, but I mean, you've got, if you feel comfortable, if you would prefer they go back and ask them to detail that, you certainly can. But you have, are you under 75,000?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you can do qualified bids. You're not over 75,000, so you have 3 bids. One was not responsive, but you have 2
But we
bids.
have 3 vehicles.
They're separate. They are different outfitting, different specs. While they are a purchase, they are separate projects. So the admin vehicles will not have the same outfitting needs and qualifications.
So this wouldn't be one purchase?
No.
So I just want to be careful that we're not bid splitting.
Correct. And as I understand it, I've had fortune of being able to go through this with a lot of different smaller projects that we've got going on. The admin vehicles are their own type, so you're not comparing apples to apples with this. You have admin vehicles that they don't need stickered, they don't need all of the patrol outfitting, and then you have one patrol vehicle that needs all the outfitting and all of that. So you went out to bid all at the same time, but you have two separate projects within this. So, I mean, you can justify that and say, these are 2 separate ones, we're purchasing them all at once, but these are 2 separate entities. So, I feel pretty comfortable that you're not bid splitting with that because they're not the same vehicle.
Okay.
Now, if you were doing 3 patrols and splitting them off, that would be a problem, but you have 2 separate projects.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, again, I would tend to lean towards the Dave Smith for an extra $100 just because of our ability to get local support and
I would
service.
agree as well.
That makes sense. Does that make sense to the sheriff's office?
Yes.
That would be preferable, I think, for us.
And I like doing business local whenever we can. Okay.
So is that a firm I can move forward with purchasing those ones? The Dodge Durango from Dave Smith and the 2 Ford Mavericks from the Ford in Coeur d'Alene.
We'll need to do a motion and a vote here.
Okay.
2 Mavericks. And what are we doing on the other one? It's a Durango.
The Durango. So moving into Durango, the extra additional things that come with any pursuit vehicle. And we discussed this before as far as the ability to get 3 bids on this type of stuff doesn't really work because we have to ship it clear out to Utah to even get it. If there isn't those types of services here locally that do what we've been doing with Premier, and they service our entire fleet already. So last time we went through this is a separate thing. Rather than going and getting 3 bids, it was get the price that it's going to cost to outfit from the company we use for this. The bid in there put the patrol vehicle for this portion of the outfitting was $16,590 and 2 cents.
And that's to put all the additional radios, all that in there.
We use 2 companies. So this is for all the light bars, the outfitting, the security polycarbonate separation for the prisoners and transports and whatnot. The rifle stuff, and you can go through the LED lights, the fuel weapons mounts, the bumpers, all sorts of things that we need for the electronics in this vehicle as well. They completely kind of re-gut it, rewire a lot of stuff. I'm not an expert in that field.
That's for all the additional stuff to make it a patrol vehicle.
That's one section. Then the radios is over at Raycom. And again, it's kind of very unique. There's not really three companies to go get bids from. That's separate. And I actually don't. Was that in your packet?
I don't
Raycom
see
portion?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
That should have been in the packet.
The Raycom one?
Yeah, it was roughly I think 17,000.
Yeah. They program the radios and all that stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was in this packet. So I can bring that back. I know I have it. I think it's approximately 17,000 for that one. If you want that approved separately, we can do that.
So 16,590 for outfitting, 17 approximately for radio.
Correct. Could be as low as 10, but I've seen as high as 17
For one car.
for one car. Yeah, it's quite, and that's why back when we talked about this before, the Mavericks could help in cheapening those blows and getting rid of all our leases at the same time. So and that keeps us under the figure that I threw out there because I always try to be liberal with the initial number. It's going to come into roughly 190 to 200,000, which is far less than 210, which I had said before. And there's also a roughly $500 cost to wrap the vehicles in our logos, the Dodge.
And is that on the?
The last one,
That's the 550. That's not on there. That's a post-purchase cost that we do locally for that we don't get bids for because it's only $550 and a separate company.
And what are you going to do for radios in the Maverick?
The goal would be, we ordered some already, but the goal would be to put a just local radio in the Mavericks, and not an ISP radio. Typically, we have the ISP radio too for obvious reasons, or even, I mean, something we can discuss. I don't even care if I have one in mind if I was out there because I have my handheld.
Yeah, these are portables.
And save that
now
cost.
And then if we got a different vehicle and get a radio out of it and then get it installed, it's something we can do probably within budget.
Okay. Now, those you could probably use to go to the St. Joe and things like that too, as well, right? I mean, if they're unmarked, but
That'd be tougher. It will. They do have immense better gas mileage.
Yeah.
So my goal was to, for example, if I get one of these Mavericks or him, guys go to training or whatnot, we can definitely use them for those and save on gas mileage and wear and tear on the patrol vehicles and so on.
okay.
Or like taking evidence over to ISP at times, that type of thing. We do that weekly. And even going back and forth between the federal courthouse and whatnot, it'll have pretty extensive savings, even beyond what's being shown here.
Yeah, what do those get for fuel economy?
I personally own a two-wheel drive version, and I get like 43 to the gallon. Now, this is an all-wheel drive, so my guess is like 35 to 37. Way better than when we're getting the Durangos. We typically get, I want to say, 18 to 20.
My
The
Durango's reading like 16 right now.
16.
in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'd be looking at the Dave Smith purchase with the Durango, the 16,590 for outfitting, the 17 for radio, and we'd be looking at the
550 for wrap.
and 550 for wrap. And then we'd be looking at the two Mavericks, and you think you can cover the radio part there, so we're not looking at any additional.
Above my pay
Yeah.
grade.
I think it's something we can handle within budget, and just doesn't need to happen right away. So I think we can gut out one of the rigs we're decommissioning, take a
Yeah,
radio out of
I think
that,
so. That's it.
and then it doesn't cost nearly as much to get one put in than if you already have it. So
Okay. Well, what's your feeling, Commissioner?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well,
Especially looking at the
miles on that
miles
fleet?
on the vehicle list. We're about half of our vehicles are almost over the mileage.
Well, do you want to make a motion or you want me to?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you can do that.
Well, then I think I would, and Colleen, correct me if I get this wrong with what we're doing, but we've already talked about the total amount of money. So right now I think I'm moving that we approve the Dave Smith purchase of the Durango and the Ford, what's the name of the Ford place?
Mike White Ford.
Mike White Ford purchase of the two Mavericks. And I would additionally add to the motion that we're approving the $16,590 for outfitting and the $17,000 for radios and the $550 for the graphics wrap. Is that, am I covering everything?
Correct, and if you just want to add a justification on that, with the cost of ownership and the accuracy of the bids is the reason for your decision.
Yeah, based on the accuracy of the bids and the cost of ownership, being able to work locally, I think that'd be part of my motion. Does that work for you?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Do we need, just for a minute, do we need to put in the leases?
I think the lease is already taken care of.
Those were
Yeah, we already
Last meeting.
did that.
okay. Okay.
I know it gets hard to keep track of these guys. Okay. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we've approved those. Now I need to move to public comment. Do you have any comment, public?
Yeah, none of the light bars on the old ones will fit on these.
Unsure. We haven't tried to do it on Mavericks yet. We're going to try.
Or the radios, there's radios in the old ones too, isn't there?
Again, that's what the radios. That's what we're going to try to work with. As far as
Mavericks?
light bars,
are you talking the Durangos?
Whatever car you're putting on this board.
The Mavericks
is a
with the radio.
car.
Yeah, the Mavericks we should be able to, I think, rob off the
think
old
so.
ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the Mavericks, only a radio is going in the Mavericks.
yeah, if we do a light bar thing, it'll be probably like something like a flip down visor one, like I had in one of the Crown Vic or something. That's just if you just need to respond quickly to a scene or something, but it's not, won't be running full code in them or anything. So, but there'll be some type of light bar going into them. That's just in the back window. Usually it's just a little LED thing, not super expensive, and then something on the visor. It just has a little switch.
But they're not going to be wrapped.
No.
You're saying that nobody does light bars around except for one company.
no. I'm not saying that no one does light bars. The entire package deal we do for like the Premier is what you're discussing that we've used before. It's the entire rewiring. For example, like I'm going to confuse the different vehicles. I'm not an expert in this, but like for example, back when I was on patrol, I was using a Charger. They had to in place an entire second battery, have the light bars running back and forth, have the extra electronics that shoot all through the car.
So they take the console out, remove
Yeah.
it, put in a law enforcement console that has all the controls, the mounts for the radios, all that. It like totally gets retrofitted.
So that's a
Computer and all
separate
that.
company from the car company. that's
Correct.
doing that.
Yeah.
But nobody else does it except for what? Because my question is you're splitting the bid up and only get one bid with the light bars and that, and there's other companies you can get it from.
There was one other company I've heard of that other people are having some issues with some of it, but I don't even know what that company would be.
Last one, I've been asked, these administration cars, are they parked up here in the Sheriff's office, or are they gonna be commuters?
So we're trying to save costs right now. So we already are swapping vehicles like crazy. Like I think you mentioned before, like you've seen people driving over the hill. We've
Yep.
saved a ton of money for the taxpayer doing that, commuting over the hill to get those fixes done. Same with these cars. Like this is not going to be in any way, for example, let's say I get assigned one of these Mavericks. That is not going to be just me driving that Maverick. I'm going to use that for any commute I can for anywhere, because it gets better gas mileage and stuff. So I'll be giving out to the deputies to go and do those things, like whether it be classes in Montana or the evidence runs or maybe even our academies. I don't know, but whatever be it. So to answer your question, anything that doesn't have to have a patrol vehicle, my intent is to use them for as much as possible because it'll save the county money.
I guess I'll make it easier. How many people are using our cars as commuters?
As commuters where?
Driving back and forth from their home.
From their homes. So I believe the sheriff answered that a meeting or two ago.
No.
She did, but it was, I don't have the exact number, but people here that live in county, and then I believe 2 that live near the jail.
And they're all on call.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and even people outside, the ones that don't have commuters, are now on call too, unfortunately.
24/7. The ones that are commuting that are with our cars are 24/7. They're on call.
Yep.
Yeah, those are including ones that don't
The
even
only
have
only ones
commuters.
that have commuters are actual patrol deputies or supervisors, admin staff. That's it.
And their supervisors, many of them don't even have one,
Yeah.
even though they are on call.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that number? I didn't get it. What did you figure was how many were commuting besides the deputies on patrol?
It'd just be me, you, Holly, and Eli.
Yeah.
4 supervisors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Colleen, any other comments? Gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is super small. We've had a boat in the basement that I put with the vehicle but a boat in the basement just to add to that list to sell off. It's been there for 20 years,
Yeah,
and we've never used it once.
I believe it was donated to us a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's a flat bottom john boat with a outboard that's not made for the rivers or anything, so we've never been able to use it for anything really.
Why don't you get me the information on it, and then we'll have to bring it into a new meeting, but we'll surplus it.
Okay.
And once it's surplus, then they can.
I thought it was there because you have flooding in the basement.
Yeah, that's about
it's-
all it was good for.
It's
yeah.
our evac plan. Yeah.
I thought that was part of the
Yeah.
evac, so. Okay, anything further?
No.
All right, with that, we are adjourned.